What's up, everybody? Elizabeth Olsen here, aka Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch. It is Monday night, and you know what that means. It is time for the Monday Night Movie Club on Society Reviews. This week, you get to listen to three down on their luck chodes take a break from being racist, internet trolls, and talk about a bunch of god-awful movies that you probably aren't going to watch anyway. So let's take it to Rob Motto, Rick Aragon, and Jacob Smith. Boys, try not to embarrass yourselves for once in your lives. Have a good show.
Well, that was mean. What the hell was that all about? Jesus. Hey guys, we're here Monday night for a Monday night review show. We got a new guest here joining us for the first time ever. He didn't join us a couple of weeks ago when we were doing Guardians of the Galaxy, but he made sure not to miss this blockbuster. So I think our good buddy there is our friend John Delarose. How you doing today, Johnny boy?
I'm so excited for the Fast and Furious franchise. I hope it never ends.
And joining us to his left over there, oh God, I literally have a joke about Whataburger and you, Rick, that I'm going to save for tomorrow night when we do the Barroom podcast. But how you doing there, Rick?
I'm doing very well. All things considered.
Mm-hmm. And then struggling with all things around him, Mr. Rob Motto. How you doing there, Rob?
Oh, I'm just fantastic.
Well, if you guys notice, I blew the entire production budget for the rest of the year on that intro. So the production moving forward is going to be very, very cheap. I hope you guys aren't looking for any kind of output there. But yeah, so we got some new outros going. We're going to be showing you guys that for the rest of the week. We got some people in the chat with us already. Spencer saying that I feel sick. I feel like shit. And the only cure is the Monday Night Movie Club. Well, here's what I would say to your sickness, Spencer. As Coach Cretan once said and all that, good. Also joining us tonight, Duke Nukem joining us. Don't stop. We're in luck now. Don't stop. There's so much to be found. I don't know. I guess those Islamic people really love those cheap 80s songs there. I don't know what's the deal with that one, but yeah, we're here to do our movie review for Fast 10. This is the 11th movie in a series that has gone on for, 22, 23 years now, up to this point. No one can explain exactly why this thing has gone on as long as it has, but I'm going to try to catch you guys up in the best way I possibly can. This started in 2001 with a film that was about street racers. It was about an FBI agent trying to undergo street racers who were doing illegal activities behind the scenes. And then somehow that ended up going to Miami, where Ludacris was introduced into the whole thing, and then Eva Mendes, who only showed up for like one cameo throughout the rest of the series, was never heard from again. Then all of a sudden we went to Tokyo with Bow Wow for some weird reason, and then the whole thing just fell apart for years. Then we brought it back. We brought back the original gang, and then it was like, oh, okay, that was pretty decent. And it's like, be better than that. Let's bring The Rock in. Let's bring The Rock in so you can do rock bottoms on people on live or our movie. And then that sprouted another 2 movies. Then Paul Walker died, and that was the 7th movie. So then, his brother had to do the stand-in for all the terrible stunts that was in that film. So you thought it'd be over then, and then it was like, no, let's bring in Charlize Theron because Dom has a kid now, or something like that around those lines. Then you get the Fast, 9. John Cena is in now as the brother of Dom, who was never introduced in the 20 years prior to this whole thing. And then somehow The Rock and Jason Statham did their own spin-off movie that doesn't really get talked about. And that brings us all the way up here. The Fast 10. Is that a pretty good rundown of the Fast and Furious franchise up to this point?
I think so, though you need to mention that people have been brought back from the dead at least,
multiple times.
Twice, if not 3 times.
It's a full-on comic book movie at this point. Yep.
It's full-on necromancy at this point because it's like they just these people are not even just dying; they're super dead. Yet somehow we just bring them back anyway. It's not like someone died off screen and then we'll left it open. Maybe we'll bring him back. It's like people are falling out of planes and getting blown up in cars. It's like, oh no, he's fine. 5 movies later, let's not talk about it. So. But that's one of the many issues that we'll talk about this film. So Fast 10 decides that, hey, we're going to introduce another new element of this film. We're going to introduce Jason Momoa. We're going to introduce Aquaman into this whole thing. So he is playing the son of the villain from Fast 5, who apparently we didn't know about until Fast 10. And he is back for revenge. Why? Because Dom was responsible for stealing his money, killing his father, and ruining his life. So now he's coming back so now he's coming back to get revenge. And another new addition to this film, someone who John finds very dear to his heart, is one Brie Larson, who's also in the movie as well.
She's beautiful, Chad.
If if you don't know the story of this one, Brie Larson literally begged to be on the Fast and Furious franchise, and then Vin Diesel was like, "Oh, sure, yeah, we'll write you in." So she got written into this thing as well. So before we get started about the actual film itself, I mean, I feel like going into this, and if you guys didn't read my review at Bounding in the comments, go do that because we're at the point now. This is the 11th movie of this franchise. There's nothing you can say about this that you probably haven't said about the previous movies beforehand. You're not going to change anyone's mind about this franchise. You know, people know that it is bad. People know that it's cheesy. People just want to go see dumb action. So whether you give it a good review, a bad review, it's not going to sway any minds whatsoever. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not even going to bother writing a review. I'm just going to read a list of random thoughts that I had in my head as this film was going on. Now, there may be a little bit of spoiler things on here. We'll save that for a little bit now. But I'll start with you, John. What is your general thoughts on the Fast and Furious franchise before you watch this movie?
I thought it already jumped the shark last film. So, I mean, as soon as they shot the guys into space in a Pontiac, I was like, okay, this should just end now.
No, you mean you didn't like it when they were driving and steering in space?
I laughed, but like, you know, it's, you know, they've been escalating into ridiculousness, and you've reached peak ridiculousness at that point. Anything that you could do after that is going to be less ridiculous yet more stupid, and that's where we were left with this movie. So it should have just ended.
Well, what about you, Rick? Do you feel the same way? What about more family?
Well, I've enjoyed, unironically, every Fast and Furious film up to, well, Hobbs and Shaw's Titanic, but up to F9.
That's the one that broke you? Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah, that's pretty much the one that broke me, but because that came before F9,
yeah,
where they went into outer space. I know that the audience was laughing, and I was laughing, but I kept wondering, how does any of this work? How do they steer in space? How are they breathing with not the pressure of space?
You didn't see their homemade astronaut suits that they were wearing while they were in their car in space?
I did see that, and I was thinking, you know, I don't know why people criticize Homeboys in Outer Space if we're getting the film version of it.
I can just see Rob's face, just all the memories of the UPN show just coming back in his mind right now.
Yeah, look, this is when I was watching it, Gabe and I pretty much said this is like the blue collar working class MCU. This is a comic book film, a comic book series for people who think that superheroes are just too stupid. Of course, it's more rational to have like auto mechanics and street racers. That's more rational as they leap out and become international super spies. But it's a stupid series, but I've enjoyed it up to the one where they go into space. So yes, you're pretty much right, Jacob. I mean, you're not going to persuade someone to issue a criterion release for this. Well, you never know. You never know. Anything's possible. And remember, this movie has 4 Oscar winners at least in it.
Yeah, the more Oscar the winners than any other film you'll see this year is in this movie, Fast 10.
No. You're right, because 80 for Brady and the Book Club. That one only had 3 Oscar winners.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, no. I mean, I guess once you just get to a certain point in life when, hey, you're about to die, just do whatever movie you could possibly can at this point. There's no standards. I know our good buddy Rob, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So Rob, I know you actually pulled a Rick for this one because apparently you hadn't seen a single Fast and Furious movie before this film. Is that correct?
Well, no, I haven't seen one since Tokyo Drift, so it's just been almost 20 years.
Yeah, okay.
Because it kind of was like a struggling franchise at one point, and then it just went on this crazy run of box office hauls, and people haven't stopped going to see it, so they're not going to stop making them.
Yeah, and up until I think it was like Fast 9, which I think did about $700 million, but before then, like these movies were still doing like $1 billion worldwide. Like apparently they had some kind of big following overseas that people were still going to go see this. This was the franchise for a few years there. People were saying, "See, this is the evidence of why diversity in movies work because look at all the money that we're making." It's like, look, guys, Fast 7 isn't exactly the film that you want to use to be your shining light of. See, this is what happens when minorities make movies. movies. Like, no, don't put that on us. Like, don't do that. But
it's all about family.
Yeah, it's literally become a meme at this point, him and the family. And then we thought this was over when What's-His-Face died. And it's like, nope, we're still got at least, as far as Vin Diesel is concerned, we have at least 2 more movies in this series left. And then we're also going to have a series of spin-offs as well. So you're probably going to have Hobbs and Shaw 2 at some point. And then, of course, the long-awaited all-female Fast and Furious movie, which I don't know who's that for, but apparently there's an audience for it in Vin Diesel's mind. So, yeah.
Is the female version the one where we're going to have Moreno and Helen Mirren drag race? That's the one I want to see. If they have that, I'll go see it.
They were barely in this movie. I know you were really hyping up this for a 2.5 movie. Like, they were barely in it at all. So that was like the whole reason you went to the movie theater and you got duped there. So
in the others, maybe I'll see the spin-off. Maybe I'll see them do the drag race. That's what I want to see.
They and look, I haven't seen one of these in a very long time, but the amount of time they use the word family in this movie almost made it out to be a cliche. You know?
That's been this franchise since 4? Like, honestly, that's really what it's been since the fourth one.
About this. And by the way, I counted 26 uses of the word family.
Apparently, it's 56.
Including in Spanish.
Apparently,
you counted?
56. No, it's on IMDb.
I missed 30 of them. I guess it was hard as I was, contemplating. Although I did count the ones in Spanish too. So
yeah, Familia also counts. So don't forget that.
So I might have missed. I guess I missed a few, but I was trying to keep track, and I counted 26.
So I did a non-review of this movie for Abounding in the Comics, where, like I said, I literally just went off all the thoughts that were in my mind as this film was going on. So let's go through this a little bit piece by piece here. So when I first got in, I said, I'm glad that this movie theater has a bar. Let's get this over with. I did actually get a drink at the bar as we got started here. That's how prepared I was for this movie. So Jason Momoa.
I drank 4 vodka drinks over the course of this movie. So
only good. 4.
Yeah.
I had 2 cherry cokes. I stayed sober.
Lightweight. Rob, were you sober during this experience? I'm going to assume yes.
I did not drink any alcohol. That's going to be my answer to that.
Yeah, well, we know what your answer is. But Jason Momoa gives away his role as the villain in the film 60 seconds into this movie by this tacky-ass suit that he was wearing in the very beginning. So this film, like I said, literally starts with Fast 5. So you have to remember which movie that actually took place in. That was the one where they went down to Brazil and robbed the president or something like that. So Jason Momoa, like I said, he was the son, and apparently he was there the whole time. We just didn't see him, and we haven't mentioned him up until this point. So it's there.
Amazing how many people were there the whole time that we just find out about in the 9th and 10th movies.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, apparently Dom had a brother that nobody knew about, even his own sister, throughout the course of 10 films. Nobody knew this guy existed, and all of a sudden he's just here now. So
give them credit for the wild retconning that they do here.
That's true.
So not only that, but it's they not only retcon previous films, they completely changed the order of how these movies took place, because everyone thought Tokyo Drift was the 3rd movie for so long, and then they changed it to actually 5, 6, and 7 come out before 3. So then 3 is now the 6th movie in the continuity. So they completely butchered the timeline on this whole thing. So remember when Paul Walker died? Remember that was supposed to be the end of this franchise? That was a good time. We all thought that, okay, this is a good send off and we'll never have to see him again.
Can't
It's
do this without him. Can't do this without him. I thought at 9 when they did that whole thing at the end where they were giving him the tribute, I'm like, okay, well this is a nice ending, and the guy's dead. Okay, let's send this movie off.
Yep.
Sure enough, then I wake up next year and there's another movie.
And apparently Tyrese needs child support payments, so we can't stop doing these movies anytime soon. So the body count of Dominic Toretto has to be more than Freddy Krueger at this point, because if you notice, they're driving through the streets and they're just running through innocent civilians throughout the course of this entire film. Cars are flipping in the air, blowing up. These people are getting brutally murdered, and it's been happening for 7 straight movies now. So I can only imagine the collateral damage of the innocents throughout the course of this film.
He's an international terrorist, at least in the movie. So.
Yeah. He's an international terrorist, but he still lives at home in L.A., and then nobody comes to pick him up because now he's a super special agent. So he can just return home and have a dinner at will, because international man of mystery.
Family.
Family.
Yeah.
So about 5-10 minutes in, I realized we were basically just rewatching Fast Five at this point. Like there was literally like no change like whatsoever from where we were outside of the couple of scenes where we were like, see, Jason was here the whole time. And then, by the way, they knocked him into the river at one point. So it's like literally Aquaman in the water. It's like, that's how cheesy we are. Yes. So once again, we're starting off this film in Los Angeles because the franchise still wants you to believe that where they're at now has anything to do with the first film that started off in LA. So no matter what movie it is, we always have to start off in LA at Dom's house, which is, didn't they blow up his house like 2 movies ago? Like, wasn't that a thing? So.
Insurance covers a lot, sir.
I didn't know they could just completely rebuild your house from scratch after it got exploded by terrorists, but apparently that's been a thing. Like, then he's been shot at multiple times. Like, this house is taking more damage than like anyone else that I could possibly imagine in this thing. So here's the first one. I want John to get his thoughts on this. Dom's kid. So this is the first time I think we've actually seen Dom's kid like not as a baby in this series.
Yeah, why
and
is
somehow. Somehow he's blacker than Vin Diesel. So if you don't know the continuity here, Vin Diesel is the father of this kid, and the mother is the Brazilian woman who died like 3 movies ago, even though I'm pretty sure they'll bring her back too. But by the way, that's also Chris Hemsworth's real life wife. Like that's her as well. So you're asking yourself, where did this skin tone come from? Because neither one of you guys could bore a full-blown black child. So did no one think about this at all? It was just like, oh, well, he's black enough, I guess. Like, no, that's not how genetics work.
Diversity. Sorry, John.
Diversity. Magic.
Yeah. It's just.
I saw this and I was like, did I miss something in another movie where they explained this and I was just not paying attention? Like, I don't remember this. But no, I didn't. You're saying I didn't. It was just out of the blue. There's a black kid.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay.
That's
cool.
And by the way, even if Vin Diesel had this kid with Michelle Rodriguez, there's no way that kid would be that black. Like, just to keep that into perspective there. So, Ludacris, I mean, I gotta give Ludacris credit here. Now that he's grown back his cornrows, he looks essentially no different than he did 20 years ago. Like, he looks like the exact. So, I mean, things are going well for him, apparently. But the other one is not going well for is Tyrese. Because if you don't remember, Tyrese is the guy who was crying because, his wife divorced him. And now he has, like, child support payments. So he's going through a pretty rough one right now. He was literally complaining that The Rock wanted to leave the franchise because he can't stand Vin Diesel. And he's like, well, if you leave, then they're not going to make these movies. And I can't pay my kids. It's like, well, then whose fault is that, Tyrese? Like, you can't blame The Rock because you owe child support. It's like, how'd that happen? Yeah, we'll talk about him throughout the course of this film. So, by the way, Rick, I wanted to ask you about this. You noticed that in the beginning of this film, we're starting to do MCU-style comedy. So it's like Dom and I can't remember. I think it was which old lady, the old Hispanic lady. I can't remember her name.
Rita Moreno.
They're having this like heartfelt conversation like in the garage. And then all of a sudden, like Tyrese like kicks a can down, and he's like, "We're literally doing MCU comedy in the Fast and Furious movie. This is where we're at right now."
Well, the way I understand Tyrese and Ludacris, they're generation's Laurel and Hardy, because all they do is just do these little quips, and they're supposed to be funny, because Tyrese is supposed to be stupid and Ludacris is supposed to be smart. I don't know why you get this, but you do see it when in Rome with the little cars, and I don't know. I guess we'll hit those later, but yes, I look, if this is the working class, this is a blue collar MCU. You need that MCU humor. I mean, how else are you going to understand that it's funny? These two guys who've known each other, they riff off each other, and they make fun of each other. How else are you going to understand lifelong friendship unless you're knocking down the idiot and with the slightly less idiot?
One more thing. I have to believe that if this house is in fact like a real location, that person has to like move. Like they can't be there. It's like going to like the Breaking Bad house, or like the Charm house. Like literally everyone's just like coming there just so you can take pictures and be like, "That's the house for Fast and Furious." It's like you can't live there anymore after that. Like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah, I think in Albuquerque, people still throw pizzas or still try to throw pizzas up on the roof of that house.
I think at one point the owner was like, "Please stop," because then we have to get it down. Like, please stop. So yeah, people are crazy. Oh yeah, by the way, the one thing I love about this franchise is that this is literally the only franchise that still pretends like Michelle Rodriguez is straight, because she's been a part of this so long. They can't make her gay, so she has to continue to play like she's actually heterosexual at this point. So this is the only film that even pretends that they're like, oh yeah, she's totally not into girls. She totally loves, penis. so, so she's here. Go ahead.
I just think it's funny, because that's Michelle Rodriguez, and then Vin Diesel for years. I mean, I don't know his personal life, but it's been rumored for years he's been in the closet. So it's just like, it's funny that you have these two people in a. I'm assuming they're in a relationship. Because I'm 7-8 movies behind, but it's like it's just like I don't believe anything that you're showing me in this movie, and I agree about Tyrese. Him in the garage with Ludacris, him trying to not the comedy is supposed to be about him not being an insecure dude, and just like. This is the level of comedy that we're getting in this movie. I just don't force shit like that, because when it doesn't work, it's really obvious.
By the way, I think you were mentioning it's just kind of like the fourth. Well, first let's go back to the relationship here, and I wish I had like the back to the lore thing that John has, because essentially what happened here is that Dom and Letty, who were the two couple here, they were a couple in the very first movie, and then they both left the franchise up until about like 4, right? They brought back Dom. They didn't bring back Letty. They told everyone, oh yeah, she died in like the Dominican somewhere, so she's gone. So then they decided a movie later, no, we're gonna bring her back. She didn't actually die. She just somehow got shot and lost her memory or some nonsense like that. So the whole film was like her trying to go back to Dom. So now they're back to being a couple again, yet for some reason they don't have like their own kid, which is kind of odd, because I think by the time they thought about having the kid, that's when Dom found out that he has his kid with this other woman that he banged in Brazil years ago. So now they have to like raise like this other kid, even though like they're both. Here's the thing, like Vin Diesel is almost 60 years old, so it's like his age is starting to show. The only reason why he doesn't like look any different because he's always been bald. But Michelle Rodriguez, I thought, was in her 50s at this point, and she's only like 42. Like times have been very, very rough on her. And just like we showed you with Conor McGregor before we did this show, guys, stay off the booze, stay off the coke, stay off the pills. It will age you like that. Like just lay off. Like it's not going to do any well for you. So. Oh, by the way, so Charlize Theron is back. She was a villain like 2 movies ago who kidnapped Dom's kid and killed his baby mama, and now she's just still around for reasons, and she's like the leader of this super elite hacker squad to where she can like hack things without even pressing buttons anymore. She doesn't have to open her tablet to hack things because she's just 12 steps ahead of everybody else. But here's the thing. We've been trying to make her an action star for like 20 years, and it's never worked. Like never. Like they did it with like the Old Guard. It was that Atomic Blonde that came out a few years ago. Was she the one who did? What was it? Like Aeron Flux or something like that? In like the 2000s. Was that her?
I forgot about it.
I think so. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so she's been like they've been trying to force this for so long, and it's like, guys, it's not working. Stop having these scenes where she's like clearing out like guys 3 times her size. Nobody's buying it. She's a 44-year-old insane woman, and she's only like, look, she may look good, but you don't want any of that crazy in your life. You just don't at this point.
Well, the thing is, she hasn't been successful.
Yeah, Mad Max is another one.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Were they going to do a spin-off of Furiosa?
They are, but it's with Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like a prequel type.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, but I mean, did she do a romantic comedy with Seth Rogen?
Yeah. Front Runner.
Yeah, or something like that.
Where she's running for president or something.
And I mean, has she really done anything of note past Monster? I don't know.
Even that movie really doesn't hold up with time. I mean, that was a movie that she got an Oscar for. That no one's talked about that film since.
I personally, when I saw it, I wasn't impressed with it. I mean, it was a grotesque performance, which, they love awarding in Hollywood. But in terms of being a memorable movie you come back to time and again, I don't see it happening.
I think it's more than just trying to make her into an action star. It's trying to make her into a star. I don't think she's had a good track record in terms of film and certainly box office.
But apparently they're going to go with it again because they're doing a sequel to The Old Guard for Netflix. And The Old Guard is a movie that was so bad it made my top 10 worst movies that year. And this is 2020. So worst movies on 2020. That means it had to be really, really bad to make it my top 10 that year. So,
well, I shared this article with the group a couple weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago now. But Charlize Theron basically said after Aeon Flux, after the flop that was that blockbuster sci-fi adaptation from, I think it was an anime. I don't remember, but she barely got a job on Arrested Development for the third season. You know, when they were kind of closing it out, and that kind of gave her an extra push to where she is now. But you know, she has a really poor track record of being
relationships.
Relationships,
mother,
movies,
and this is why she's in this franchise, because it's a guaranteed I don't want to say hit, but it's a guaranteed check, and she can go and be the action queen that she perhaps wants to be without any difficulty.
Yeah, and I'm glad John brought this up because literally at this point, the only two characters they won't bring back is Paul Walker and Gina Carano, and one of them's actually dead. So those are the only two they haven't brought back to this point. I mean, even this film, we brought Paul Walker back. He's in like the first 20 minutes of the movie, even though he's already dead. So
yeah,
Gina Carano's the only one they're not going to bring back because you know they can't be a Republican in Hollywood. That's bad. Let me ask you guys this, because this is, I think, where we're going to split hairs on this one, and it's Jason Momoa, because obviously he's supposed to be like the charismatic villain in this film. My problem with him is that I don't mind him chewing up the scenery, but it feels like he had like 7 different personalities throughout the course of this film. It's like when he first see him, he's like, oh, he's gonna be like this menacing, no nonsense villain, and then all of a sudden he starts being like kind of like a cartoon character where he's like a little bit more over the top, where he's kind of being a little more cocky and carefree. Then at one point he's just like the Joker, like straight up the Joker. Like there's one scene where he's literally painting his nails with like 2 dead bodies, yapping around too, and it's like, okay, like you got to pick a personality at some point, dude. You can't be like 7 different things at once. Like, are you a menacing villain? Are you a scary villain? Are you over the top charismatic? Or are you the Joker? Like, what are we doing here? John, what do you think of Momoa in this film?
I thought it was the most cringy freaking performance I've ever seen in my entire life. I get that he's supposed to be cringy, but my God, I mean, it's just like it was so bad, and he was so trying way too hard that it just throws you out of the movie every single time he either moves or talks or appears on screen. Yes.
Oh yeah, big time. If you've seen this movie, Rick, what did you think of Momoa in this film? Did he break you or what?
No, actually, I think he was having the time of his life, just camping it up to beyond way over the nth degree there. At a certain point, I did wonder if he was going to just say, "Yeah, I'm gay," because the guy was painting his nails and he had like 2 little hair buns here, and painting, talking to dead people, rattling off these quips, like with the Tunishmen is like, "Oh yeah, we're going to blow up the Vatican, and you're all going to go to hell." But he just was just. Yeah, I think he was over the top, but he was not the worst part of this movie by any stretch of the imagination.
What?
No, he was not the worst part of this.
He's pretty bad.
Yeah, well,
he was pretty bad.
I would say that it was, for me, it was he just embraced the fact that this was garbage, and he was just gonna take the paycheck and just have a grand old time. Though I don't agree that he was the Joker. Gabe made a good point. I think he was more like Two-Face from Batman Forever. He was doing Tommy Lee Jones, someone who was just devouring the scenery and just having the time of his life, cashing his check and camping it up. So my thinking is, yeah, he knew that this was pretty much a cartoon, and so he decided to play it as a cartoon. I was never bored, although there were times when the lines that he was saying were just a little too much and too on the
You mean
nose.
poorly written?
Yeah, it's like he's a non-character, though. It's like he got his own screenwriter. And granted, I don't think this movie has a screenwriter. It might have a dozen, but I don't think it has one screenwriter. And it felt like he was just doing whatever the hell he wanted. I don't think Jason Momoa is a good actor, so of course he can't embody a real character. which is fine, but it doesn't. It just makes for a sort of campy, over the top, ridiculous sort of antagonist, which that like a lack of a personality is not a personality. You know what I mean? It doesn't substitute. So I found him very annoying. I was kind of hoping for a hammy, over the top performance, but one that was relatively, crafted, one that was built or created, and that, that's the wrong expectation to have in this movie, I guess.
I would just ask Rob, like, who here in this cast that had a major part would you say is a good actor? What, Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, John Cena? I mean,
Helen Mirren,
Brie Larson. Brie Larson.
I will say Rita Moreno is a good actor.
In a large role. I mean, not basically a cameo.
Yeah, she has large. She has large roles.
Are we talking about?
We're talking about Helen Mirren, not Brie Larson.
Helen Mirren has a pretty large roles as well. I would just say is like what, Tyrese, Ludacris. Are these people that you would look to say, yes, this is the standard of great film acting? No, none of these people are. So why pick on Momoa?
Let me ask you
the silliness of it.
Let me ask you guys this, and you guys know this because you two saw The Gray Man, and I feel like Hollywood doesn't know what a sociopath actually is, because in their mind, a sociopath is like literally the Joker, right? Someone who's just wacky and crazy. Because when Chris Evans tried to play this in The Gray Man, he played it the same way that Jason Momoa did in this film. It's like, look, a sociopath is usually a guy who just doesn't care about anyone from himself. So if you're looking for someone with sociopathic tendencies, you look at a guy like John Jones. If you guys watch the UFC, he's the type of guy who would literally sit there in a press conference and tell you, yeah, I beat you and I was on cocaine. Like, that's the type of guy that's like a sociopath, right? Like, so I don't know, like, do these guys like not do any kind of research, or they just take it at face value? It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be crazy because I don't care about anything.
Well, I think that would take time. It would take time to actually get research and care enough to want to get the character right. This is what the 10th or 11th movie in the franchise.
11th.
And this is a brand new character, right? Or one they retconned from Fast 5.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're pulling it out of their ass anyway. But so they're like, they don't care as long as there's explosions and stunts and whatever. They won't care. So and look, this is going to make money. No, it's not like this is going to be a bomb at the box office, but it's just like paying attention to what's going on the screen is just, it's so painful, and I just can't turn my brain off that much. I guess I don't know.
Well, I don't know if they filmed these movies back to back, but the budget that I saw listed for this film was $340 million, which is insane to me if that's only for this movie. It's like that has to be like counting this one and the ones they've already shot. Because if it's just for this one, it's like, holy crap, are you guys going to like burn over $1 billion just trying to do these last few movies here? This is insane. But by the way, speaking of explosions, I noticed that we're back to shielding explosions with cars. Remember they did that at one point? Like, yeah. So if you missed, I think it was Fast 8 with the one that they were in Russia, where Dom was about to get killed, and then all the people drove their cars in front of the explosion. And that somehow protected everybody, because that's how explosions work for some weird reason. They did it again in this film, so it's like I feel like they're almost like picking apart what people complain about in the previous movies, and are just doubling down on it. Which, hey, if that's what you're gonna do, fine. I mean, if you're just gonna be like, yeah, this is stupid, and we're doubling down, but I mean, at some point you gotta be like, okay, we're just not gonna take anything seriously here.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but I did laugh my ass off with the whole, I'm going to push down for more horsepower and bring down 2 helicopters.
Yeah.
That was probably the highlight of this movie.
I'm gonna hit the Nas and I'm gonna outrun an explosion.
What I was picturing as that gigantic bomb is rolling down the streets of Rome and rolling down the Spanish Steps, in my mind, I wanted the 4 old ladies from book club to walk across and be crushed by that gigantic ball and just be, just completely destroyed.
But see, that's another movie we're gonna have to insert into this universe. Like, how many spin-offs do you want?
I would love that. Look, if anyone could edit the 4 old ladies from the next chapter into this movie and have them crushed in that gigantic bomb that's going to roll into the Vatican to blow it up, hey, please do it. I would be so thrilled. That would be a great birthday gift My birthday's in December, by the way. So that's what I was picturing in my mind. That's what I wanted to see. You know, that's a big
It's
bomb.
dumb.
It's just rolling.
But by the way, this whole so just in case you guys are not following here, at one point the villain basically tricks them to going to Italy. They think they're there for some big mission because they're super spies now. They're not just street racers. They got to go save the world. So they thought that they were going to like steal some equipment. Turns out it's just a big giant bomb encased in the giant ball. And so the ball gets loose and it's literally just rolling down like all of Rome. Like there's just no stopping it whatsoever. Just continuously going. And at one point I'm sitting here thinking to myself, oh my god, this is literally just Rocket League. Like you know the video game Rocket League where you really have to, like this is what they turned the first act of this film to, is the Rocket League. You're chasing a giant ball throughout the city and you have to keep hitting it before it blows up at its final target. And it's like, oh my god, you guys are such unbelievable hacks in this film.
Wasn't it great that there was a crane doing some construction work right on the Tiber that the Dom could, I think, launch himself or his car into to stop the bomb from just rolling into St. Peter's Square? I don't understand the geography of this. Granted, I've never been to Rome. You know, and I don't know if this geography actually works. And that bomb still managed to destroy so much of Rome.
You know, there's a very similar scene in The Last Action Hero where Arnold has to like defuse a bomb, and this, you know, dead gentleman whose body he has to steal. That was much better. But I do agree with you in not having any current relationship with video games. I felt like this movie was a video game movie. It was like the solutions to the problems was like basically going through a level and so, you know, it was just that kind of simplistic, which, you know, again, if it's entertaining, it's fine. I found it unbelievably mind-numbing.
And this is the part where they needed to include Scott Eastwood as Little Nobody, right? I mean,
who was only in the movie for like one scene, by the way.
Yeah, one or two. It was like, why is he here? Why are a lot of people in this movie?
Because there are no characters, so they have to have cameos instead.
Well, we'll get to that in a while. Let's not jump ahead here. But yeah, so just in case you guys haven't realized, physics just don't apply in this universe whatsoever. Where in order to save the Vatican from being exploded, Vin Diesel had to position his car to hit one side of a crane so that it will swing up, hit him to the other side of the building while also hitting like the ball into like the water or something like that. And then even when it exploded, it still caused like massive damage to the point where it was like, well, if it did that much damage, you might as well just let it off and blow up anyway, because you didn't really save anybody in that whole concept. I think they even tried to like pass it off on the line by saying that, oh yeah, well, you know, casualties was like minimized. It's like, that was no minimum casualty there. You blew up like a 5-block radius with that massive bomb there. But
but it didn't kill those old ladies around book club.
Unfortunately. By the way, you notice that like 90% of like Ludacris's dialogue in this movie is just making him sound smarter than he actually is. It's like he's going out like talking about like how to like hack things in like real time. It's like, dude, you have a tablet, just press the buttons and stop pretending like you actually know what you're doing here.
But you didn't like those little cars with his little head?
No, yeah, that was hilarious. The little penny scene that was completely unnecessary to anything else that was happening in the film. I was like, oh god. Well, by the way, so after Rome gets destroyed, they start doing this like kind of like monologue of all these newscasters are covering it. Did anyone else notice the Italian lady with like the huge cans? Was that the only one who noticed that too? We spent like 5 minutes trying to figure out who this person was while people were talking, because it's like, okay, I don't need to hear Dom talk to Hernan Reyes and her only scene in the entire film. I really don't care. It's like, okay, who's this chick? Then I can go back to what's ever going on in the movie here. So
there's no one question what Queenie is doing in Rome at the same time. I mean, was she just on vacation? You know, why was she there?
Because her and Dom go because it's a trap or whatever. Like,
but why was she involved in this? She wasn't involved, as far as I know. Momoa or
what's that thing about Dante? Plot that you always say?
Oh, something will happen if the plot requires.
Yeah, there you go. There's your fucking answer. Okay.
Nice.
Well, I guess she needed. I guess she needed to pop in. It's like that Larry the Cable Guy joke where he just comes in and says, "Get her," and he says, "Yeah, it's like Freebird. You gotta say it at least once in the show." So
So dumb. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the person who John absolutely adores, one Brie Larson, who's in the film. She is supposed to be Mrs. Nobody. I guess it's implied that she is
Nobody.
Little Miss Nobody. She is the daughter of Kurt Russell's character, who is no longer in this franchise until they bring him back 2 movies down the line. But yeah, she's essentially taking over the role of controlling this agency,
and she was there all along, Jacob. That's the best part.
She was always in the shadows, right? You know, she was just there.
Well, you know, Little Miss can't be wrong. Am I the only one that had that pop up in his head? That's been Dr. Song. Little Miss can't be wrong.
No.
Little Miss Nobody. Okay, all right. So okay.
Yeah, we're not boomers like you, so we don't.
Gen Xers, Gen Xers.
However you need to cope. Yeah, so she's in the film, and I guess she's squaring off with this big giant Jack dude who literally looks exactly like the Yes Chad meme on Twitter. So it's like they had to have done that intentionally. There's no way that was like a subtlety like whatsoever. So they're arguing about whether they should kill Dom, whether they should capture him or whatnot. And I guess because she's the woman, she's the good guy in this scenario. So I'll start with you, John. Why do you love Brie Larson so much in this movie?
I just thought she did a great job with the action. She delivered believable lines. You actually started to care about her character and her dealing with the agency there. It was the direct opposite of the way that Jason Momoa came into all of this. Like, yes, he was tied in. He was there all along. He had family ties too, and you hated him. And you thought, oh my God, I'm going to have to sit through this for 2.5 hours watching this guy. But when Brie Larson came in, it was like, oh, okay. Like she actually like is delivering this role pretty well. Even though some of the lines were so difficult for any human to actually say, she still managed to do them convincingly.
By difficult, he means poorly written, just in case you were trying to figure out.
Correct.
Yeah. Rob, what do you think about Brie Larson in this film?
Oh, you mean Miss Spiky Shoes?
Yes.
Yeah, that was probably the most memorable thing for me about her. I mean, I agree with John that like I think she did fine in delivering some really terribly written dialogue,
really bad dialogue.
But I don't think she's much of a character. You know what I mean? I know she's in here. They give her stuff to do, and that's it's fine. But again, it was really listen. Past a certain point, it was really hard for me to pay attention. So look, in terms of not cratering her career, I think it was a good choice to be part of an ensemble movie like this. So best of luck going forward. Hopefully she doesn't piss off more people. But I
can't wait for the
like,
well, she may
hate her fans. So
she may need this role to save her career because the Marvels isn't looking too good right now. So she may want to jump on this franchise.
Well, maybe this is just a setup for her to turn into Captain Marvel in the next movie. That's gonna be the shocking twist.
Hey, we've already been to space. Why not?
Yeah. It's gonna tie into the working class MCU and the real MCU are gonna tie in together.
The most ambitious crossover ever.
Yes.
Dude, I've been saying this for a while as a rib, but you might as well at this point just do a Fast and Furious Transformers movie. Like, how hard is that really? You don't think that they can just call Paramount and get them on the phone and, hey, let's do a Transformers Fast and Furious crossover and make $2 billion? Like, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, it could happen. Well, what I thought of Brie Larson, she was fine. I'm probably the only person here and in the bar room who doesn't hate her and who doesn't think she's horrible. I think she
looks like she needs a hug. That's what she looks like she needs. She looks like she needs a friend who wants to actually be in the same room with her. Like, that's what she needs.
She was fine, although I don't quite understand John's fixation with her. But we all have our quirks. I question whether we're both members of La Raza here because we don't see the things same. But in any case, what my issue?
Yeah. By the way, I just wanted to notice this one question. Apparently, everyone here but me is like some part Mexican. So I don't know if you'll put all of your percentages together, you'll get 100%, but you're at least some part Mexican. So there you go.
It's 100% with me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Are you?
Biologically. I'm actually more authentically Mexican than Dom's son, who I don't think is Mexican at all. Or
Well, he's
True.
supposed to be like what half? Like he's supposed to be what half
Brazilian, right?
biracial, half Brazilian,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
yeah, okay, so yeah, we'll work
but
that
somehow
logic
his
out later.
hair is nappier than mine. So okay, make that make sense.
My issue's more with Ames, the Chad character there. He literally says, one of the lines is, "Yeah, if there's a law of God and gravity, they violated it twice." It's as he's
Hmm.
pointing out the obviousness of how these people have managed to, you know, do everything that is impossible and yet still continue, like go into outer space, crash cars from one building to another, land, fly, literally fly through the air to capture people, which is
Hmm.
also done here as well. So he points that out, and he's so exaggerated in his seriousness. This guy.
There's two things I noticed about that scene. One, did anyone notice that like the camera was just like spinning around like this was like a Michael Bay movie? It's like every time like him and Brie Larson was talking, it would do like that 360 thing that Michael Bay likes to do with his films. And I was like, did they bring him in to direct this one scene? Is that why, or I have like nausea already?
What
And
you need
then
is, oh, go ahead.
and then the other thing was, like I said, while he was talking, he was literally trying to make sense of how all any of these 11 movies are in any way, shape, or form connected, like whatsoever. It's like, oh my god, they're actually trying to make sense of this whole timeline of really in the 11th movie.
Well, you need, I guess, an info dump there, and to try to, make it make sense. But is it me, or was this very clearly green screen in that scene?
No, yeah, blue screen all day.
Yeah, with all those people voting in the shadows. Who is this shadowy organization that is voting to kill Dom and family? So why is she sticking up for all these people?
You ever notice how all these Hollywood movies always tell you, oh yeah, there's some secret shadow government out there somewhere that's making all the decisions, but they don't want you to believe that that's actually happening in real life, only in the movies.
No comment.
Well, there's another thing. So John Cena. So a little backtrack here. John Cena was just inserted into this film in the last movie F9. He was introduced as Dom's brother, who after the course of 10 movies, he has never been mentioned once, never been brought up once in the entire run. He's so secret that even Dom's sister, Joanna Brewster, had no idea this guy existed this entire time. But apparently Dom knew about his existence. He just decided never to mention him. So he was the villain in the last film. Then he turned good. So now John Cena is back here, and he's supposed to be the guardian of Dom's son. So he's in this where they attack the house, and then he's like going around shooting people. He literally does the attitude adjustment. So this is like the third pro wrestler in this series has done their finishing move in this movie. So there's another one. John Cena, did he need to be in this film at all?
No.
There are a lot of people who did not need to be in this film, and we'll talk about
Somebody
one in
needed to
particular
watch
later.
the kid. Somebody needed to watch the kid.
But he's a
How about
it's
how about his
he's a plot
sister?
device, basically. He's a plot device. He exists to transport this kid, or to be his guardian, or he's looking after him. That's his function in this movie. He's not a
And-
character. He's
and-
a function.
And you need someone also to have some sort of comedy with this kid, because what is funnier than John Cena trying to rap to Marky Mark? Come on, in this little car. Isn't that the height of comedy?
I stopped watching the World Wrestling Federation when John Cena showed up, and it was like a white rapper. I was like, I'm done. I'm 13 years old, and I am too old for this shit. So take from that what you will.
Yeah, and now he's old now. So how old do you feel?
Very.
But it's just kind of insane, because that's when the house gets destroyed again. When they're raiding it to pick up this
Yeah,
kid.
this has to be like the 6th time this house has been destroyed in the history of this franchise. I even made a note. It's like, can you imagine being Dom's neighbor at this point? Like, why would you want to live next door to this dude? The CIA blows it up like every 3 months. It's like, why would you want to live here?
Well, to be fair, this is Los Angeles, so I'm pretty sure that they're used to a lot of violence going around in that area. So, yeah, there. I didn't understand. Well, it's just strange. They spent F9. they spent so much time fighting with each other. And my understanding, if memory serves correct, that John Cena was going to be the great villain in the next film. Now suddenly Dom is saying, "Oh yes, if something happens to me, which is more than likely, yes, you Jacob, you're going to watch my child and take him to the rendezvous point because everyone knows where the rendezvous point is, and you have to get to the rendezvous point." So yes, I'm going to take him, and yeah, are we going to talk about how they escaped?
Well, we'll talk about that
Yeah,
when we get to it. But
yeah,
yeah, we
yeah.
will bring this up. So, by the way, because there's not enough characters in this film franchise at this point, we introduce another character played by Daniela Macour, who you may remember from Suicide Squad. I think she played like Ratcatcher in that film. For some reason, she looked biracial in that movie, but apparently she's not. She's just like Portuguese or some nonsense like this. Now, for my money, she's the hottest character in this whole film because she's probably the only one that's younger than 45 at this point. So
No,
that was
except the
what
kid. The kid is under five.
I was talking about the women.
Oh,
Yeah, everyone else, the struggle's been very, very real. But so she's introduced as the sister of Dom's baby mama, who was killed off in a movie 3 movies ago, and it's supposed to be like some kind of big secret that apparently Dom knows who this person is too. So Dom knows a lot of people around the world that he just doesn't tell anybody else about. And there's this one scene where we bring Jason Momoa back, and he's wearing a suit that's even louder than the last one. Like you thought, like the one at the beginning of the film was bad. This one was like, is he supposed to be gay? Because I mean, I don't know. At this point, it's a toss up depending on what he's wearing here. But this is where his performance really started to grain on me. It's like, okay, now you're just going like over the top corny, where you're not even like trying to be. It was irritating at this point. But then they had this whole race where it's like it's Dom, it's Momoa, Daniela, and then like some guy who was there from Rio. I think he may have been in Fast Five. I'm not even 100% sure. But hey, we're bringing it back to street racing. We're gonna have another race, except for it's all set up because like 2 of the cars are rigged to explode, and then Dom has to decide which one he's gonna save. It's like, of course he's gonna save the hot chick. You think the hottest girl in this movie is gonna die, and like her first scene that she's been introduced. So it's like, of course, he saves her by.
There was no question. There was no question. Yeah.
So I believe he did the pit maneuver, which caused the thing to like fall out, and then the explosion caused her car to like tilt at a 90-degree angle mid explosion. Like she still probably would have been dead regardless if that was the only difference here. But like I said, physics don't apply here. The other guy is dead, and then Jason Momoa is still the bad guy here. So there you go. By the way, John, because you are the Catholic here, I want to ask you this: did you notice that this film had some not so subtle shots at Christianity throughout the course of the movie, especially with Momoa's dialogue?
Yeah, but Momoa was the bad guy. I mean, they kept saying on the good guy's side that you need to have faith. You need to have faith. It was almost as much as family. And every time they said you need to have faith, they just zoomed in on that cross. So I thought it was Christian propaganda.
Yeah. If only there was more of that right now. But
yeah, I wish there was more of that, to be honest. But they did. But Momoa, like I said, like his whole point was to be the cringy, bad guy. I mean, so when he delivered lines like that, it was. I thought it was just showing the contrast between good and evil.
Rico, don't give them any ideas at this point. Please stop. Yeah, my other note here is that there's just way too many characters in this film. This is what happens when you don't actually kill anyone. It's like
I don't know half their names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know who.
That's why I'm referring to them as Brie Larson, Jason Momoa, because I know the actors.
Yeah.
With the Rio sequence, which again is pretty pointless and stretches the movie longer. How am I supposed to remember who this minor character was from 3 movies ago? This is the same problem I had with the MCU in No Way Home or Home Alone or whatever Spider-Man garbage.
Homecoming.
Yeah, where no, it was the one with Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio.
No, yeah, that's the worst one.
They were like, oh, well, you got screwed by Tony Stark, and you got screwed by Tony Stark. I'm going, I don't know who any of these people are. I'm not going to remember people who were like 3 movies ago, 5 movies ago. So maybe, I don't know, even the hardcore fans, I think, would be a little perplexed. And then we get the sister of Dom's baby mama, who, again, if that's a sister, How do you get the child? How do you get little E out of Vin Diesel and his sister? We see her picture. We see the mom. You see the mom's picture up there. Neither of them could have produced this child. It made absolutely no sense. But yeah, it's interesting when we talk about Momoa as being this kind of
You know what it is? They just didn't want to have a white kid in the movie. That's really what it is. I mean, you could have gotten someone kind of off-white, or at least, I don't know, maybe half Hispanic, and people wouldn't have asked too much questions, but you went straight for the black kid, and it was like, come on now.
But I said this, and I have not seen a movie in like 7 entries. And I was like, why is that kid so dark?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's perplexing casting choice, and it's nothing against the young
Even if his mother was black, the kid wouldn't be that dark. That's the problem. It's like,
but that's the thing. His mom, and you see a picture. I mean, you see the sister, and then you see her picture up there in her home. No, not unless
she's a blonde-haired Brazilian woman. It's like
not unless she's passing. And then we make that big discovery. But I mean, that's going to be irrelevant, and it's going to be perplexing. But it's yes, we went. He's supposed to be the Joker. Jason Momoa is doing the Joker. Like in this scene, in this race, he's doing some sort of Green Goblin like choice. Remember when he's holding up the kids and Mary Jane at the Brooklyn Bridge? Mm-hmm. He drops at the same time. This is pretty much the same type of situation.
Or as you said, Two-Face, right?
Yeah, or Two-Face. Oh, yeah, with Robin and whoever that other person was.
Yeah, the ugly chick, Maggie Gyllenhaal, whatever her name is.
Whatever, and I can't remember. You get the same type of situation. Why exactly? Look, that whole sequence was there. I don't know what for. I guess to point out, I've got some secret information on Dante.
Yeah,
that's a Momoa character. I've got some information on Dante that still have here in my apartment in the poor part of Rio. And moreover, when Chad, when the walking Chad guy comes in, I mean,
we're just unironically calling him Chad now because nobody knows his name.
I have no idea what his name was.
I think it's Ames, but I'm still calling him Chad because it's easier. Yeah. It's so obviously a soundstage where this Brazilian neighborhood is. You couldn't even try to make an actual set.
$340 million. Where did the money go?
And I found that character particularly annoying in a movie of annoying characters. And I looked him up. I think that's the guy who plays. There's a show. I think it's on Amazon Prime called Reacher. I think that's the same guy. I forget it. It's like Alan something. But he just annoyed the crap out of me as a character in this movie.
Ironically enough, I think he's the guy who, when he started his career, he played Aquaman in Smallville. So you have 2 Aquamans in this movie. So it's just
that's interesting because that Aquaman series I don't think ever went. I think they just did the pilot, and he was a guest star on the Smallville, and then they tried to do a pilot and it didn't fly. But he certainly was not as monstrously big in Smallville as he is.
But by the way, Rob is right. He was in Reacher as well. So
that's Reacher. Well, that's not a surprise because I've never been a fan of Lee Child's series, and I know that Tom Cruise got criticized because he was too short.
Right.
To play Reacher, and that hurt because he's my height. But I can
let me ask you guys this, because we were talking about way too many characters in this film. John, let me ask you this question just straight up. Why is Hollywood trying to sneak Pete Davidson into every single film? Like, why are we doing this? They snuck him into Guardians 3. He was one of the extras in the ending. They had him in full makeup, and they only revealed it after the fact. So they snuck him in that movie. They snuck him in this movie. Like, why does Pete Davidson have to be in everything at this point?
You know why. They are putting him in everything.
Oh yeah, we forgot.
Kanye knows.
They slash them. They slash them.
No, not those days. Those are completely different days. Rob, did you? I could envision your face in the while you're watching this movie, and then you see Pete Davidson show up. I could see the look on your face when that happened. What was your thoughts?
I was literally thinking when he showed up on screen, I was like, so they wanted us to believe that all these women, like this guy with like that fucking 5 o'clock shadow, unshaven fucking face and a bleach blonde head. And yeah, I wasn't paying attention to the scene because I knew it was like a piece of fluff or whatever, but it was like, this is just what Hollywood does now. They inject these sort of like figures they want to promote, and it's just an empty sort of cameo. But hey, whatever. I can't say that it like is getting more people to see this movie. You know what I mean? It's just like okay, let's get through this.
Yeah, exactly. Not on YouTube, you can. I mean, if we were just Rumble exclusive, maybe we can say it, but we can't say it here. That's just not how it works.
This movie is what 2.5 hours long. There is, and I know that I've said something will happen if the plot requires it to, but the plot did not require this to happen. There is no reason for this scene because no real information is obtained. The plot is not moved forward. The only thing that you get is the Black Bezos and Tyrese going on about how he needs receipts for everything, and that's supposed to be funny. Ludacris making fun of him, and Han apparently getting high off whatever Pete Davidson had.
Yeah, like I didn't understand what was the point of that at all. Like I thought that was gonna like lead to something, like he's just gonna be high for the rest of the movie, but then it was just like supposed to be that for that one goofy scene, and it was like, what was even the point of that?
And no information is given. The plot is not advanced. Whatever plot we have here is not advanced. There's no point to this entire sequence other than to insert Pete Davidson into this, and there's no point to make a scene around this particular.
And apparently Pete Davidson is just an American living in London, and he's a hacker using a land
threw me out
party
so badly because I know they're in London, and then I'm like, wait, did they go back to America? I mean, they're traveling so much, I'm like losing track of where they're at half the time. Did they just go back to America? What's happened here?
No, they're supposed to be in London, and Pete Davidson is just there with like no explanation. So it's like. Didn't even try to do like a bad British accent or nothing. Just
that might have been interesting if he had tried that, but then again, it's we need a reason.
Rob's like, nope.
We need a reason. We need a reason to have his generation's Cary Grant in this movie.
Oh God. Well, if I find some old timey guy who just like slept with all the prostitutes in Hollywood, then you compare him to Pete Davidson. So. A couple other random thoughts as I was looking at this. Gas by the time they filmed this was $7 a gallon. So go California. At one point, the lesbians were fighting, which I believe was Michelle Rodriguez and Charlize Theron. So that was happening
right there when they were fighting, and I'm perplexed as to why, because they're supposed to try to escape, both of them. The thing is, at one point, Michelle Rodriguez gets her head literally slammed against the doors of the elevator, and nothing happens to her. I know that this movie never bothers with those types of ideas.
Remember, even earlier than that, like Charlize Theron was in an elevator that collapsed, and she managed to survive because she was on top of the guy she fell on. It's like, no, at that force, you both would be mangled. Like,
but the thing is, I thought if she's just hit across the head, that would have probably killed her right then and there. There was no point to it. They're crashing and they're supposed to be escaping, but they're fighting. Look, I don't need a girl fight. I mean, I enjoy a cat fight as much as any other guy does, but there's no point to have this sequence. It doesn't advance the plot. It doesn't put in anything. You do expect Goldfinger to just come with his laser. It's just, I'm perplexed as to why it's there.
Remember when Eva Mendes was in this series? I think that she made like a one cameo and like an after credit scene, and then never actually came back. That was just her one thing, and then she just went away. So, yeah, those were good times. That one movie that she did.
Too Fast, Too Furious, I think, right?
Yep. So then we get to this is not really the ending, but I guess 2/4 of the way there. There's a scene on the bridge.
We're not at work. This movie, like, why was it this long?
It was 2 hours.
Why does it have to be it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and it's a two-parter. I got to the end.
No. It's three-parter.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Vin Diesel confirmed that there's actually 2 more after this one. So this is part 1 of 3.
It was this long. John, it was this long because you need to include every member of family.
Family.
By the way, so this is the part where Brie Larson was dead, and then 2 seconds later she wasn't dead. So that was kind of like a blow, like right out of the gate there. And this is where I asked, okay, is Jason Momoa basically just a Joker now? Like at this point, because like I said, every suit he wears is loud as shit, and then he's also just like absolutely chewing up the scenery to a ridiculous level. And then we reveal what's his big plan. Apparently, his plan was the reason why he did all of this so that he can get Dom and his son together in one location, so that he can kidnap Dom's son and then lead him to the location of the bridge that he rigged in the first place. So blowing up the whole Vatican was all for this one moment so that he could kidnap Dom's kid. So make that make sense, I guess.
Do you know the amount of resources that this would take, the timing it would take, the planning, the execute? I mean, it's so ridiculous and so like farcical on its face that I can't even absorb it. My mind reels backwards and I start to lose IQ points. So I have to stop thinking about it.
Look, if you're going to be a super villain, you need an elaborate plan to get the hero to do something when a much simpler plan would have worked.
You know what this is? This is like if you try to like actually map out the entire timeline in this franchise, try to make sense of it, you would look like Charlie in that one episode of Always Sunny where he's like Pepe Sylvia. He's like going like insane. Like that's literally what you would be like, because there's no way to make sense of anything that's happening here. And you would be a fool for even trying to. So. Then we get to, I guess we're slowly starting to get to the ending here. John Cena and Dom are driving in cars. John Cena has built like, I don't know, some kind of Mad Max death machine for some weird reason. Like it's a car straight out of Mad Max. But apparently he ran out of gas, so he's out of gas. He can't stay in the fight anymore. So he just decides, well, I'm gonna kill myself. So later, Dom, and then he blows up. And then I'm like, well, I mean, is he actually dead, or is he just gonna come back? Because everybody you've killed, you've brought back to this point. So am I even supposed to believe that John Cena is actually dead now?
You know, we didn't talk about how he and Little B escaped the plane, which is to get on this little like pod.
That was so dumb.
That was the
he literally snuck a plane through customs dressed as a kayak, and then they did.
And they fell, and they willingly, you know, it was almost like a bomb, like just dropping off. And I'm going to protect this 7-8-year-old child by putting him in this device.
So here's what we're supposed to believe: that John Cena snuck a plane that he can carry as a kayak on a plane. And then his plan, knowing that he was going to get caught on the plane, was to sneak down to the bottom of it, create this plane, and then fly out to where he actually needed to go. Which begs the question: why he just take another plane? Like, why couldn't he couldn't have just hijacked the plane and went the exact same route? What was with this whole elaborate setup with him and the kid?
I don't know.
None of this thing makes any sense. So, by the way, Dom is killing more innocent people as this film goes on, because cars like around him are just like blowing up, and those are full of like passengers. So, like people who are just trying to enjoy like their trip or whatever country they're on. They're just getting murked here on this highway. Who knows at this point?
I think it's Portugal. But you know, in that scene where Uncle Jacob, you know, sacrifices himself, and we're supposed to be crying. I did like the line that Dante, the Jason Momoa character, says. I guess Uncle Muscles isn't going to go to the next barbecue.
Nope.
That was the line. And though he added quickly, "Oh, okay, at least it was honorable." This was after he manages to grab Little B from the car. And that's not when we get to. That's not when we get to Little B flying out of the car, flying out of the car in full force, and to land safely in his dad's car.
Okay, but what about Vin Diesel falling to the earth in his fucking car and landing safely on another car to buttress the impact? Never mind. I just can't.
He literally landed on another car and then drove off as he returned the car.
And he managed to not get picked up by 2 helicopters as his car.
Not only did he not get picked up, he actually drugged both the helicopters down with the force of his car.
Unbelievable.
Truly unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet, Mr. Bono.
We ain't
You
seen nothing
I know.
yet.
I am aware. And I'm good on that.
But by the way, so there's this one setup here where they finally get to the bridge, and Dom has his kid in the car, and the bridge, there's like 2 gas tankers on each side, so they're going to like do like sandwich him. So he decides that he's gonna drive off the bridge, but the bridge is exploding, so he's driving down. Like, didn't we already do this in the Fast and Furious movie already? Like, didn't he drive down a bridge at some? I'm pretty sure that happened in a movie before this. So
Was that a bridge? I thought it was a dam.
A dam, excuse me. But yeah, I think we've done him driving a car down a dam at some other point in another film.
With explosions going all around him, too.
Yeah.
So now they're just ripping off the shit that they've already done in this franchise now. Great. Oh, by the way, if you're driving down a dam and the bridge is like literally exploding behind you, and you're in a car and it's engulfed in flames, all you have to do is press your NOS, which is literally more gas, and you'll just go faster and outrun the explosion. That's how physics works. Oh, by the way, shocking twist. It turns out that the Yes Chad meme guy was actually the villain the entire time. They go back to the very first scene in the movie. It turns out he was the guy in the room with Jason Momoa's father, so he was actually a villain. He was part of it the entire time.
So you realize that you're retconning what you had already retconned in a past film. You retcon Fast 5, and then you decide to retcon the movie that you are in while the movie is going.
I mean, dude, D-Man, you're not even wrong at this point. Just have Brock Lesnar be the villain of the next movie and have him F5 somebody. Have him F5 Vin Diesel in the next film. We might as well. If we're just going to go this ridiculous, why not? Oh, by the way, speaking of people who die and come back, Gal Gadot's back. So she's the one who fell out of the plane in, what was it, Fast 6 and died, and apparently she's back now too. So no one ever actually stays dead in this entire universe.
She fell when she fell. She fell and
she fell out of a moving plane.
But she probably landed. I don't remember which movie, but she landed close enough to a submarine in Antarctica so that would pick her up. Look, you know what's weird, Jacob, is that when I saw her pop out, I literally thought of you because you had predicted something like this. You said they might as well just bring back Gal Gadot.
Yeah, and, as a rib, not like they actually do it.
And they did, and they actually brought her back. So I'm just wondering, how does she know that Cypher and Letty were in Antarctica?
Apparently, she's been a spy now this whole time. That's how they brought back Han, because Han supposedly got killed by Jason Statham after Tokyo Drift, and his car blew up. And then they went and, what was it, Fast 9, and said, "Oh no, that was just a body double. He wasn't even actually in the car." So yeah, he survived.
That in London, that we never mentioned that Jason Statham is also in this movie.
Oh yeah, right. So
we completely forgot about him.
He's in there for like what, one scene, I think, and then he's just like gone again.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that Han has to go and see him, and they instantly start fighting, and then there's that. Okay, someone explain that scene where this like police force comes in, and they have to unite forces to kill everyone, and then for some weird reason they have this body bag, and someone is alive in that body bag. He pops out all in his underwear and just runs out. Gabe and I were wondering, like, is he a famous person that we don't know?
Not only that, but he got hit by the car that broke into the warehouse. So it was like he was already getting beat the hell up, and then a car just came out of nowhere and crushes him. So
what was that about? I did not understand anything in that whole scene. Why do they have a body bag and a person who's alive in his underwear just runs out for no reason as they're fighting outside? I was thoroughly confused.
Yeah, and then he just like walks up to like Jason Statham's fucking lair there, and it's like, yeah, you thought you killed me like several years ago, but I'm back now, but I don't want to fight you. I'm just gonna show up and knock on your door. It's like, yeah, if someone who I thought I killed just knocks on my door one day, I can only assume he's there for hostile reasons. So.
I'd much prefer they just make a $300 million Mortal Kombat movie, in the same fashion where it's just ridiculous storylines. But hey, at least we have like characters that you can try to try to like throw on the screen and at least have a good time with it. I don't know, man. Like the fact that there's there's going to be 13 movies. 13 of these movies, and that most of them are
I mean, that's only 13 at this moment. That's not counting the spinoffs that they're also going to tack on top of that.
That's an incredible, I don't know. I don't have faith in people anymore. Okay. I mean, I might have not had faith in people for a while now, but this pretty much cements it.
Well, I'm pretty sure.
I think I made the joke in our Twitter group earlier today that there's going to be more Fast and Furious movies than WrestleManias within a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, this is where we're going.
Yeah, well, I guess this is this Fast and Furious franchise is now like this generation's Andy Hardy films, where you're just going to have more and more, and it's going to expand because, family keeps expanding. I don't. You know what? This is a trailer. This is a long trailer for another film that's
2.5 hour trailer for another
2.5 hour trailer.
So let's go straight into the ending here, because they ended this movie on a freaking cliffhanger. That's essentially what they did here. So what happens is that as Dom and his son somehow miraculously survive driving a car down a dam that's exploding, by the way, Jason Momoa decides he has another trick up his sleeve. So Tyrese, Ludacris, and all those other guys, they were in some kind of plane. They get shot down. It explodes. Supposedly they die. Supposedly. That's because I said nobody actually dies. I mean, you just brought back Gal Gadot like 2 minutes before the scene happened. So who's to know if they're actually dead or not? And then Jason Momoa goes, now I'm going to blow up everything. And then literally it's just Vin Diesel going, oh my God. And then they just fade to black. So the implication here is that we're not going to know exactly what happened until the next movie, which probably won't come out for another 2 or 3 years. So they literally ended on a cliffhanger and a non-ending simultaneously. Yes.
Oh, God.
I imagine
nothing was resolved at all. They literally just stopped the movie at a random point. Oh, there's some action going on. We're not going to finish this scene. See ya.
Roll credits.
2.5 hours to get to nowhere. And I imagine if it takes a while to produce, they better make this film now, because Little B, the little actor, is going to age out of it. But maybe they can substitute
they'll have to find some other black kid.
They'll just change him.
It'd be funny if they
replace
him with a white kid in the next one.
They should make him an Asian kid. They should make him short round. And so that way we could just alternate and just have more representation that way. Why make this whole thing? You need to look. Every other Fast and Furious had some kind of resolution. F9, I don't think, had a real resolution, because it left it open to where Jacob is supposed to be still lurking about, plotting his revenge against his brother. I guess that revenge never took place, because now he sacrificed his life for his nephew, apparently. So why make this whole movie if you're just not going to end it or have some kind of ending? I mean, one thing if they got to the secret volcano lair and then everything blew up and Momoa escaped, but he doesn't even do that. I mean, you're leaving it to where the dam could burst open and flood them all and kill both of these people. Maybe no, you can't kill off Dom, but I
think this got revealed like years ago, but I believe that Vin Diesel has it written in his contract for these movies that he cannot lose a hand-to-hand combat fight in this series. Like, that's actually written into the contract for this film that he can't.
Did you say he had a fight with somebody that had to be a standoff because he had it written into his contract?
Yes.
Like, Jason Statham or somebody in a previous movie or something?
I think it might have been Rock. I mean, that's probably part of the reason why they had beef back in the day. So Top Dog asks this question here. Just real quick before we move on to this last point here. I only just now got reminded that Ludacris and Tyrese not only flew into space in a car, but they were supposed to fly to the International Space Station in a car. I don't know if the International Space Station has a port that you can just drive a fucking gremlin and pick you up from space. I'm not sure that's how space works.
Well, I think they left the car. Somehow they left the car and are floating to the space station, or have to be near enough to the space station, because there's nothing to tether them to that Pontiac Fiero, whatever vehicle it was.
Yeah.
So that's not how space works. If they left that little vehicle, they would just float off into space, and there's nothing to hold them. There's nothing that would bring them back.
As we've already established, physics do not work in this universe whatsoever. So, but to answer Top Dog's question here, so when we go to our cliffhanger non-ending, we get a post-credit scene just like the MCU, and the post-credit scene is that it's a military unit. All of a sudden, someone gets a phone call. It's Jason Momoa's character. Jason says that, hey, I haven't forgotten you. You're the one who actually killed my father. They flash back to Fast Five again, and then we find out that it was actually The Rock's character who shot and killed his father, and Jason Momoa tells him that I'm coming after you next, and then pulls off the mask. It's The Rock. The Rock says, I'm not hard to find, and he crushes the phone with his bare hands because that's how manly he is.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of the movie. So
And of course, you have to have Happy Trails playing.
So The Rock, who swore that he would never work with Vin Diesel again because they had such a terrible experience working together on what was like Fast 8, the last movie they did together, that they have beef and they're not going to work with each other now. Well, guess what? He's back into the mix now. They're bringing The Rock back. So I'm pretty sure The Rock is going to somehow be involved with saving Vin Diesel's family once again. So good luck trying to get those two to work together again. I guess Black Adam didn't do very well for Rock's career if he's coming back to the Fast and Furious franchise. So, but yeah, that's the movie. That's 2.5 hours. Somehow, believe it or not, this film was actually 2 minutes shorter than the last film. So even though it felt like you were in there forever, this was actually shorter than the last Fast and Furious movie.
At least the last film had a beginning, middle, and end, though. I mean,
yeah. Well, technically, considering where we're moving forward, this was the beginning of the last trilogy of Fast and Furious. So this was a 2.5 hour beginning until we get a 2.5 hour middle, and then finally we'll get the 2.5 hour conclusion.
Fast 10 then is the Fellowship of the Ring of this series.
God.
Matter of fact, the last one will probably be like 3 hours because they just have to, right?
Yeah, of course.
And the Rock and Vin Diesel, they're really making Joan Crawford and Betty Davis. They're making their feud look like nothing. This is sad, but.
So look, my final thoughts on this film, had they not gone with the ending that they did, I probably would have been a little bit give them a little bit of leeway here, because look, we all know all these films are dumb, so I can't just give it credit, be like, oh, this was a dumb action movie and nothing made sense. Like, none of these films have made sense up to this point, so what will be the point? But yeah, the whole non-ending completely pissed me off. I was like, okay, so you guys just essentially wasted my time with absolute stupidity for 2.5 hours. I think the only good thing I said about this film was Daniela Mercure, who was only in the film for like 5 minutes of total screen time. Jason Momoa was both the best and the worst thing about this movie, because I mean, honestly, he was a complete cartoon character, but if you take him out of this film, how much worse is this movie going to be? Like, without him being a complete laughingstock, like, this movie would have been far worse if he wasn't in it. And then, like I said, too much stupidity, way too many characters for one movie. I'm giving this a 1.5 out of 5. That's where I'm landing on this one. Rob, I'll go with you, and then John.
Yeah, I gave it a 1 out of 5. This is exactly what Martin Scorsese was talking about when he's talking about theme park rides as movies. Look, I get why it exists. I get that there's a market for it. I get that audiences in general want to see it, and it's coming to an end. We've got 2 more of these to get through, which if this show continues to when they come out, I'm sure I'll be covering them, which I do not look forward to, but this is what I would like less of at the movies. I think you have examples of things like Ambulance, which Michael Bay did last year, John Wick 4 this year. You can make good action movies, movies that are still relatively dumb, but that have a heart, that have a center, that have something they're trying to say and communicate. I didn't feel that at all watching this movie. But hey, if you like it, please, I'm the wrong person to take an opinion from. I haven't seen one of these in literally 7 movies, but this is fundamentally one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen. So it's a 1 out of 5. I'm glad that this franchise is ending. That's all I can say.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I thought some of the explosions and shit were fun. I'll call it like a 3 out of 5. Brie was hot.
Okay, hold on real quick. Before I go to Rick here, are you honestly going to tell me with a straight face that Brie is hotter than Daniela?
No, she was way hotter. When I saw her on screen with that like little crop top or whatever, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, she was hotter than Brie for sure.
All right, then. Rick, what do you think?
I think I'm a little more generous than you two. I'm going to give this a 2.5. Maybe a 2.5. I'm wavering, probably a 2.5, because I kind of have long ago have embraced just the stupidity of this franchise, and this is a film that you need to watch without even thinking about logic, plot, acting.
You could just say without even thinking, and it would have been a perfect statement right there.
Without even thinking, just have it wash over you. With Momoa, I think he figured that this is a cartoon, and so he decided to play as a cartoon. I think if he had been serious, it would have been even more idiotic. Like if we were going to try to be real serious, you have to kind of camp it up and amplify the stupidity of it all. And I think it was having the time of his life doing this. But this is not the worst of the working class blue collar MCU films. I think F9 probably is, but then I haven't seen any of them in a while. So when I do my retrospective, maybe I'll be more generous. There are no performances. Nothing in this movie would make sense. Though, again, I still want to see those 4 old ladies crushed to death by that big bomb in Rome. Please.
Well, I mean, hey, maybe in the next movie, like I said, we didn't get too much Helen Mirren here, so maybe we'll see more of her in the next film. Maybe she'll die.
Yeah, well, no. I want her to live, and I want her and Rita Moreno to drag race across the streets of any city there. But no, I want those 4 old ladies to die. Nothing, it will be worse than Book Club Chapter 2 or whatever. Nothing will be worse. I would rather watch this than Book Club the next chapter. All right. So I'm going to give it a 2.5. Yeah.
Rob's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
You didn't have to see Book Club. All right. You did not suffer as I have suffered.
I did see the Covenant this weekend, which, by the way, has a great first hour, and then it just shits the bed. I gave that a 2.5 out of 5. That was a really, really good movie up until the second episode.
I said the same thing. My biggest issue with that film is that once they actually save Jake Gyllenhaal, the tone completely switches, and it takes too much time to get the groove back.
Yeah, but trust me, I would sooner watch this than watch Book Club the next chapter. So yeah, this is not the worst film I've seen all year, but it's inexplicable.
Wait, did you actually go see that? For real? Book
Jacob
Club?
made me.
Yeah, I made him watch it last week when we did.
Oh no!
He also saw 80 for Brady for us too, so he's taking a couple of bullets for us this year.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because now I'm going to make assignments for next week. So there's multiple films coming out next week. And Rick, since you love taking bullets for us, next week, you'll be the one in charge of watching The Little Mermaid. So
okay.
Oh, shit.
I don't know. For some reason, I actually could live with that.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was the only movie coming out this week just because it's kind of a big...
No, there's more. So there's another film, Gerard Butler, called Kandahar, and I'm actually going to go watch that one and review that movie. And which means that the only film left to review this week for you, Rob, is a little movie called The Machine, and that's the perfect movie.
Oh,
no,
I'm you are not. You have no
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you.
No.
I was yelling to my roommate, "I'm not seeing The Machine, no matter what happens." If you did that, it would have been like, "Are you fucking kidding?" Okay.
No, I'm gonna have you watch About My Father, which is the Robert De Niro movie. So yeah, you don't have to watch The Machine this week.
Okay.
So.
Oh, it's because they're all Italian, right? You got to give the Italian centric movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is the diverse Little Mermaid gonna actually do well? Are normies conditioned at this point to like clap for the black girl?
Well, here's the thing: the only the only draw this film has is that it's a powerful film for black women. So if they could somehow get a bunch of black women to go watch this film, that's the only way this film is going to succeed. And from what I've heard, they don't have exactly the great tracking right now. So who knows? We'll know till in a couple of days whether this film's actually going to be a success or not.
In a sense, Jacob, I do thank you because I will be watching the first film to feature a black female. In the history of all cinema, there's never been a black female in a movie until the Little Mermaid remake. So I will be part of history here, and I'll get to hear Awkwafina allegedly sing or rap or whatever she does. So that should be fun.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting week next week. So like I said, About My Father, Kandahar, and The Little Mermaid are the 3 movies that we'll be reviewing next week. Unless John wants to sign up to watch The Machine and come back here as next week.
I already watched like my quota of movies for the year by watching this movie this weekend. And,
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, then. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I'm going to give you guys a chance to promote what you got coming up. I will start with you, John. Thanks for joining us for a Monday night to talk about this awful movie. So where can people find more of you?
Online. I'm on the internet. So thank you.
You're kind of a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal. People know me.
All right, then. John Delarose. Make sure you check him out on the day.
I do have leather-bound books and furniture that smells of rich mahogany, so.
But are they on time though?
No.
Never on time books here. Rob, someone else who has nothing coming up. What do you got coming up?
That's right. So I think I found a job, which I start on Friday, so that's exciting. If only to get some money to move back home. So that's good. That's coming up. I did watch some good movies over the weekend, some crappy. I can recommend Blackberry. That's Glenn Howerton is wearing a bald cap and he's sort of engrossed in the tech world before the iPhone hit the market, kind of beating them out. So interesting story, but it's another one of those product movies like Air or even Tetris, which I also watched this past weekend. So as always, I talk about movies. You can check out my Twitter on the bottom of the screen. I also got 600 replies yesterday from angry people who wanted to make fun of me for paying for Twitter Blue. So that was, as always, very fun whenever I stir up a hornet's nest. So for that and for movie-related stuff, check out my Twitter.
All right, Rick, you're up. What you got coming up?
You could help contribute to my GoFundMe, and please, thank you to the people who have. I've got upcoming reviews. I might work on those that I just did. I watched the original and the remake of a movie I don't know a lot of people have heard of, Imitation of Life. The original with Claudia Colbert, the remake with Lana Turner. So I hope to write reviews of those. I just have nothing but reviews coming up and some baseball games. So that's pretty much it for me. And thank you all for this delightful romp.
All right, then bringing him back over here. I'm going to let you guys know what we got coming up this week. So tomorrow night is the Barroom Podcast, episode 49. We're going to talk about this Twitter exchange that happened over the weekend where a lot of people got upset because some people called out WWE's new t-shirt for Roman Reigns, making a reference to Baphomet and satanic imagery. And there was a lot of people who were upset that people did that. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Cate Blanchett is essentially creating her own Rooney Rule for her production company, saying that she has to at least interview women and minorities for jobs within her company. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Viola Davis is complaining about that there's not enough work in Hollywood for old black women. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Somehow people are shocked that no one's actually watching the WNBA. So shocker, Brittany Griner returning to LA. Nobody saw it. Nobody watched it. And then, of course, we'll talk about the show that we've made famous here on the Barroom Podcast and on Society Reviews. Echo, the gay, one-legged Native American deaf superhero, and talk about the disaster behind that entire series. Because apparently they had to reshoot the whole thing because it was awful. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And on a quick little side note, I know the Lakers and the Nuggets are playing right now. I think the Nuggets might beat the Lakers. I told my brother that if the Lakers get swept, that I might buy a Denver Nuggets jersey. So in order to not be a complete liar and honor my word, I might actually have to get a Djokovic jersey and watch the NBA Finals if this happens. So we'll figure out if that goes down here in the next 10 minutes or so. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank Rob, thank Rick, thank John, and thank everyone in the chat. And for you guys in the chat, I got a little special treat for you guys, because we do actually have a message from John's favorite actress in the entire world, Miss Brie Larson. So adios. We'll see you guys later. Goodbye. Good night.
Hey guys, it's Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel. I'm here because Society Reviews didn't want to spend the end of the show pronouncing the names of the people in the chat, so I'm here to do it for him. Let's be honest, he wasn't very good at it anyway. Okay, let's go. Alex versus Evil, how are you doing, buddy? Nuke Dukem, see, I actually pronounced your name correctly, unlike some people. Doba Fett, nice to see you again. Neozoic, what is up, my man? Drax the Clown, that is a scary-looking avatar. Iman Rich the Swag Lord, I don't know what that means, but okay. Zero Dozer, thanks for joining us tonight. JEC, that avatar is pretty scary. DK, what is good, homie? CS Johnson, aren't you on the show? Why are you here? Cult Classic Cage, wasn't you talking shit about me not too long ago? Hey Spencer, I see you in the chat. I know you want some of this. Call me. Matsumoto Rico, what is that, like Korean or something? Bounding into comics, is that the Catholic dude who always talks shit about me? Copa Catania, how is the baby? Rob Motto, why are you still in Washington, dude? Holy shit, are you trying to get stabbed or something? I think that is it. If I didn't mention your name, you probably aren't that important. This is the end of the show. Good night. Goodbye. And now it is time to play some Spring Yard. Later, guys. Okay, where's my money, Jacob?